So let's get right out to NewsNation international correspondent Robert Sherman, who has been a witness to it all in Tel Aviv. For the very latest, Robert, I understand you might have some new information about a new warning about the defense forces maybe targeting military infrastructure.
Yeah, this is just coming down here from the IDF moments ago, giving a warning to people who are in Isfahan, Iran, to evacuate, to stay inside, to not be on the streets until the early morning hours because they intend to carry out strikes there imminently. Isfahan is notable because it's home to one of Iran's nuclear facilities, which, of course, is one of the central components and one of the central issues of contention that has led us here to this moment. And both the United States and Israel have vowed that they are going to knock out nuclear sites as well as back Iran away from its nuclear ambitions as a part of the objectives of these operations that both Israel and the United States are carrying out. So that is a warning that is coming down here, and it underscores the fact here, Laura, that while we have been on the air again and again with you throughout the day, as security alerts have come down, as sirens have blared, we are not in a past tense situation. It is very much so in the present and expected to continue on for the foreseeable future. Also, what is coming into scope is the level of collateral damage that is taking place around the region. You made mention of that hotel that is in Dubai. Well, we've heard from Bahrain's Ministry of Interior, which has confirmed new impacts here just within the last couple of hours. We've heard from the Jordanian military, who has said so far today, since these operations began, they've had to shoot down or disable 49 different ballistic missiles and drones that have been fired from Iran. There's been sweeping condemnation that has come down from all of the Gulf states and states outside of this region that are allies of Gulf state nations. We've heard from places such as Morocco as well, as all of these countries have effectively seen targeted strikes carried out on their soil where U.S. bases are located, and you see collateral damage such as this here, this one coming out of Dubai as well. We just heard from Iran's foreign minister a short while ago who acknowledged this, that carrying out strikes on other sovereign nations, saying, quote, "It is regretful that targets are located in friendly states." But they viewed this as a moment in which they are defending their own sovereignty, the Iranians, that is, as the U.S. and Israel continue to carry out strikes on Iran here, and we're anticipating more to come imminently. Laura?
Robert, while I'm struck by the quiet that is behind you now, I'm also struck by what we watched play out on NewsNation just a little while ago. While we were on the air together, I watched, and the rest of us watched, those intercepts going in back of you, and I could see you pointing to the sky and talking about the amount of interceptors that you saw. And you said at that moment that that was unusual, right? That there were more in that moment that you had seen since October 7th. Have you seen anything else like that? Walk us through what we've seen the last few hours and this morning.
You know, I mean, without question, what we saw when we were with you just about an hour ago was the largest salvo and, more pointedly, the largest response from Israel's air defense systems that we have seen since these operations began with the U.S. and Israel. I think over the last couple of years, and there have been a couple of isolated incidents in which large barrages of ballistic missiles and drones have come towards Israel. And I think one of them was a strike that was carried out by Iran, and the other ones also coming from Iran during the 12 days war last year. I mean, it's just a couple of isolated incidents in which you have seen barrages of that caliber here. But in terms of the response from the Israeli air defenses, I mean, quickly losing count as you saw dozens of these different interceptors coming in different directions in order to pick off the missiles and drones that were heading this direction here. And I would emphasize here, Laura, is that people are used to the air raid sirens going off in Israel. They've lived through October 7th. They've lived through countless wars. They have dealt with strikes that have come from the Houthis in Yemen or Hezbollah in Lebanon or any number of militia groups from Syria or Iraq. But there is widespread recognition that Iran boasts the most capabilities of any entity that they have gone toe-to-toe with up to this point. People saw it firsthand during the 12 days war last year. People are seeing it firsthand again. And I would say is that people are taking the situation very seriously on the ground here.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.